0, 1.
Let's get started.
It is time, and welcome back to this week's episode of the NBA Fantasy Recap Show, brought to you by DBOB. Don't bet on birds. I'm your host.
What's up, gang? Welcome back to your fantasy recap this week. It's me, just me. Sorry, Eric's kind of busy, got some stuff going on, but Merry Christmas from your commissioner. Here we are. Let's just jump right into this one. This was a bullshit week, man. I was not a fan of this week at all. Last week was kind of pushing it with the NBA Cup games, but this week took the cake with no games on Tuesday, no games on Wednesday. And just overall, the schedule was kind of trash. 2 full slates of games, and this wasn't a very fun week to be playing fantasy basketball, especially for me, as I lost. And we'll just jump right into matchups here. I lost by 15 points to Ben. 1,094 for Team Boilermakers, 1,079 for 1-800-9-WIT-IT. I'm not excited about this one. I used all 5 matchup acquisitions. I kind of loaded up on Sunday. I got very close. I was down 200 points from Monday, and I just couldn't quite get back over the hump. I had a huge night on, I don't know what it was, Thursday night or Friday night. One of those nights I had a big night, but it wasn't enough to come back and beat Boilermakers in the end. Kind of boiled down to the very last matchup there, the very last game. I had 2 guys on the Pelicans. He had Nikola Jokic. And sometimes that's all you need in this league to get a win. So congratulations to Team Boilermakers. Hopefully I don't see you in the playoffs, man. Hopefully you... Never mind. I'm not going to put that in the air. Let's move on to Slim Shady versus Wow My Team is Soft. Look at that. Team Slim Shady takes the win. While My Team is Soft is on a 2-game losing streak. It pushes him down into second place now, but we'll talk about the standings here in a little bit. Congratulations to Daniel. This was a good matchup. Daniel using 3 matchup acquisitions. He's not usually the guy to rely on the waiver. Likes to kind of call us all waiver wire merchants, but looks like he needed that to get over the hump this week. Top scorers in this matchup, you had LaMelo Ball with 155 and 154 for Russell Westbrook. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's 4th on the list down there with 121. Behind Evan Mobley, who was my guy that I liked talking about Player of the Week a couple weeks ago. But on the other side there, for While My Team is Soft, Jason Tatum, 166 points. James Harden, 152 points. Shout out to Yves Macy there, the center for the Pelicans, had 109 points. 56 points last night against Denver. Still isn't enough to get Wow My Team is Soft over the hump of Slim Shady there. So Daniel moves on, takes the win there. He is now going to 6-3. I like this. I like seeing Dakota lose. Sorry, but I'm geeked. So we move on to the next matchup here. Team Velasquez versus Connor For Real. Connor For Real takes a win with his number 1 player of the week being Norm Powell. How about that? Norman Powell, 161 points. He had a pretty good week this week. 64-point night, a 55-point night, and a 42-point night for Norm Powell. Malik Monk, Connor For Real. We talked about him picking him up on the wire. I thought that was a great move. He's the 2nd best player this week with 146 points. On Team Velasquez, we had Wembanyama with 187 points. It's good to see him on the floor. Colin Sexton with 117 points is tied with Karl Anthony Towns with 117 points. I think Towns only needed 2 games to do that, though, which is impressive. Yes, Towns did that in 1 game less, but not enough to push Team Velasquez over the not enough to do it. It's just not enough. Connor for real still on a tear. Wembanyama had a double-double with blocks in one game, which is ridiculous. It was a 102-point night for Wembanyama and Jorge. But we see Connor for real take another win here and keep moving up. We've talked a lot about him all year. This is a guy to watch, but it's going to be the guy to beat here in a couple weeks. We've got to move on to the next matchup here. Chanks Chuchos takes a win over Wet Boy Nation. We're going to bring Wet Boy Nation back into the talk here for Bozo of the Week because you look at Monday night and he left, just about 120, 130 something points on the bench with Cade Cunningham's triple-double, 20 point, 11 rebound, 18 assist triple-double was sitting on the bench for Wet Boy Nation on Monday, and he goes on to lose this matchup by 74 points. Chance sneaks a win in here. Chance was able to get Matherin on the waiver wire there. I know he's excited about that. Chance wanted a guy he enjoys watching on his team, and he has that guy. We'll see him get him into the lineup here. And without using any other acquisitions, he was able to beat Wet Boy Nation, who took a fairly lackadaisical approach this week and is paying the price, although he believes it was Israeli intel. But I don't know. I think it's a lack of intelligence on his own part. But congratulations to Chanks Chuchos, which was the third win of the year. It's a hard phrase to get out. All right, we've got Kobe Wanjanobly losing to I Have No Franz. He has no Franz. 1,232 points for Eric Espinosa as he takes down Kobe Wanjanobly. Eric used all 5 of his matchup acquisitions. You see Jamal Murray, his number 1 player of the week, with 173 points. Tyrese Maxey, number 2. Looks like Maxey's sick now. He's got a day-to-day with an illness. Classic for Eric. You look down the line, though, you see Giannis only played once this week. 65 points for Giannis, and Eric didn't need him. Eric did not need Giannis' firepower to be able to take down Kobe Wanjanobly. Even when Jimmy Butler had a 125-point night, it might have been last week. Regardless, Jesse lost. So we see Eric move on to the number 1 spot with 8-1 record. Well done. This is a long time coming for Eric to be on the top of the standings here, and we'll get to the standings. We'll revisit this matchup here in just a minute, but we'll talk about our last matchup from this past week was Grime Time Super Gremlins narrowly beating Coach Kawhi and Saboner. Grime Time was looking for a new win here. He needs something to hold on to. He got him beat in this matchup here, just for a game. It looks like he brought Grady Dick back. Dude loves Dick. What else can we say? But Grimes has got Cam Johnson as his number 1 player this week. 148 points. 1 point behind him was Larry Markkinen, 147 points. Then you track over to the other side, and on CJ had our high point man of the week in Domantas Sabonis with 253 points. We saw Sabonis mount against the Pacers last night. He had a 17.21 rebound game. But he was out rebounding every team this week with the Lakers twice. Shout out Daniel and Jorge. Sabonis grabbed 31 rebounds against you guys this week. So, high point man there. Not enough to sneak by the Grime Time Super Gremlins and the duo of Grady Dick and anybody else on his team that you might like. Mark Williams, Grady Dick. Great job, Grimes. Get a win. Narrowly escapes being Bozo of the Week just for being Steven. I gotta look at matchup of the week here is between myself and Ben. It came down to the final moment. It went to overtime, which gave us like a last few minutes of life. I thought we might be able to sneak by. Trey Murphy 3 went down, got hurt, did not return to the game. I could have used that, although I do think that helped out Herb Jones a little bit. If I would have made one move differently anywhere in this matchup, had I not waited for Max Strus or had I not picked up Mogbo or Bogdanovich and substituted with somebody else instead, I think it would have been enough to push me over the hump here. I had no Brandon Miller towards the end of the week. Scotty Barnes with a subpar showing last night. There's a lot of things working against me, but I fell short of that comeback. So I think matchup of the week is here. Closest one, monitored it all week long. And I also think the player of the week is in this matchup in Nikola Jokic, 226 points for the Boilermakers. And again, the triple-double. Sorry, I know you can hear my dog snoring, man. I can't do anything about it. Man's old. He's got to sleep. He sleeps a lot. But Jokic's triple-double last night is really what pushed Ben over the edge to allow him to get that win. So congratulations to Nikola Jokic, player of the week, matchup of the week, 1-800-9-WIT-IT, and the Boilermakers. We have manager of the week. You know, I like Eric. I like Eric on this one. I was really gunning for that. I thought I might be able to get it. I thought Daniel probably deserved a little bit of talk about manager of the week, and maybe that's the case. Breaking into 3 matchup acquisitions this week, but I like Eric here with using all 5 of those acquisitions that he had to get it done with no Giannis. Didn't even need Giannis really to do this. He had one night of Giannis, and he still filled that stat sheet every night with guys that are getting it done. So I like Eric in this one. Put some pretty good distance between him and Jesse, and moves on to the number 1 spot on the list. So I've got Eric as Eric Espinosa as manager of the week. Honorable mention to Slim Shady for beating Dakota there. I do think Ben could be in that conversation, but somebody else can bring that up. Team of the week. Let's do Slim Shady there. I like team of the week. Most points out of anybody. He beats Dakota, and wow, my team is soft. He moves on up. Well, he stays in 3rd rather, but I like Daniel Velasquez, Slim Shady, team of the week. Bozo of the week, Wet Boy. I got nothing else. Wet Boy, Bozo, synonymous. Let's move forward into what we're looking at this week. And hold on. Let's hit the standings real quick. Fuck it. Let's do this week's. All right. I've made up my mind. We've got Coach Kawhi and Saboner versus myself, 1-800-9-WIT-IT. I got this one. I got it in the bag. I haven't even looked at it, but I'm not afraid of CJ. I don't know what's going on. Looks like we don't have any games on Tuesday this week. That's good to know. Christmas games are coming up. Got a pretty big slate on Thursday. I don't know. I think I've got too much firepower. We do have the Champagne brothers. I don't even know if they're brothers, but we've got these guys. I've got Justin Champagne. He's got Julian Champagne. This is over before it started. This is me, minus 400. I got a head full of steam. I'm not losing again. I'm not doing that shit, and I'm definitely not losing to CJ. So watch out, CJ. You're gonna lose. I've got Slim Shady and Team Velasquez. This is another Brothers Bowl here. We got the Velasquez Bowl on Christmas week. This is pretty cool. Slim Shady's on a 1-game win streak, of course, taking down Dakota this past week, losing to me 2 weeks ago. Jorge just lost. I got Slim Shady leading the charge here in the Brothers Bowl. In the Velasquez Bowl, I think Daniel might have the edge. There's just too much firepower coming from his team. He's got a full slate tonight. It's going to put some distance between him and Jorge. Well, I guess Jorge's got a full team too, but Jorge's still dealing with injuries. Jared McCain might be out for the season. He announced on YouTube. Whatever. It's going to be weird. But Karl Anthony Towns is on a generational tear right now. Wembanyama's on a tear. This could be closer than we feel like it being. But I do want to give the advantage to Slim Shady here. And I'd probably set it at minus 250. Somewhere in that realm. Pretty big favorite, but within reach for Team Velasquez. We've got Connor For Real versus Chanks Chuchos. Connor For Real, minus 400. He's got a full head full of steam. Full head full of steam. I'm telling you, this kid he's watching The Wire. He's making great moves. He's kind of getting a lot of my sloppy seconds on guys that I drop, but some of them have worked for him. Most of them come back to the wire. But regardless, I think Connor's got a pretty good grasp on this season right now, and I think I'd expect him to take down Chanks Chuchos with ease. I probably set Connor for real at minus 800 in this matchup. Maybe one of our biggest favorites of the week for sure, but maybe of the season thus far. This is going to be an easy one, I think, for Connor, unless Chanks just miraculously has a Christmas miracle and comes up on a phone and gets that matchup working. Again, I think Chance is much more in tune with some of these players on the wire than we give him credit for. Just because he isn't able to access them doesn't mean we should count him out. One of these weeks, he could be the man to beat. We'll see. But for now, Conor for real should take the win in this matchup. Obi-Wan Ginobili versus Wet Boy Nation. This is a big rivalry in our league. There's a lot of history between these two, and nobody's really clear what's up with that. But these boys are rowdy, and I don't think either one of them is going to allow themselves to lose to the other one. So, with how Cade Cunningham's playing and how Luka's been unavailable for Obi-Wan Ginobili, but Cade Cunningham on Wet Boy Nation, I really got to set the odds pretty close on this. Luka's one of those guys that will turn the tides for Obi-Wan Ginobili if he's on the floor. That's going to definitely swing things in his direction, but I think Wet Boy Nation might be able to take this one just because he's due for a win. He's got a pretty full slate in here, a couple nights, and I think his players are playing well. And every time Luka's out, Kyrie's gonna play better for Wet Boy Nation there. So I'm gonna set it at minus 125 for Wet Boy Nation. We're gonna pit Obi-Wan Ginobili as the underdog right now, and again, that is with the intel of Butler being out and Doncic being out. Those are guys I think Jesse's gonna need to beat anybody in this league, and we shall see. Doesn't look like Paolo Banchero's coming back for him right now. Does have an expected return date of sometime this week on the other side of Christmas, but the news is there's not much news on that, so have to monitor Paolo for Jesse. That's going to make a big deal. Have to monitor Cam Thomas for Wet Boy Nation. Again, somebody that could come back this week and somebody that can fill it up in the points column. We'll see, but best of luck to those teams. I have no Franz versus Grind Time Super Gremlins. I have no Franz on a 3-game win streak. Grind Time Super Gremlins is in the mix. I'll give it to Eric here, minus 300. Eric's been able to put up more points than a lot of teams this year. We'll look at that here in the standings in just a minute, but Wiggins has been playing well for I have no Franz. He's got some good players there. Again, Jamal Murray playing well. Giannis is in the mix a lot this week. And I don't think Grimes is in it to win it, man. I think he's thinking about football. But we'll set the odds here at minus 350 for I have no Franz. And we'll monitor Grind Time Super Bozos. See what happens. We've got news from Eric here. What's going on? He's just saying he's in first place. Look at him go. Congratulations, Eric. Here's your shout out. Somebody's coming for you. I don't know who it is, but somebody's coming for you. And speaking of that, we've got our final matchup this week. Boilermakers versus Wow My Team is Soft. I said this a few weeks ago. I thought that Dakota got rid of some guys he didn't really want to get rid of and threw off some rhythm he had going for his team. I think Schroeder moving to the Warriors ended up, that's going to be something to watch. Schroeder kind of took a hit. He was a big scorer for him there, but Harden's playing well. I think Curry's going to go on a tear. He's been in a little bit of a slump. Well, not really. He had one bad game and then lit everybody on fire the next day. Jokic on the floor, how many times? 2, 3, 4. 4 games of Nikola Jokic against Wow My Team is Soft. I don't know, Dakota. I think I'm gonna put the odds in Boilermakers here. I gotta go maybe like minus 170. I think 4 nights of Nikola Jokic is terrifying for just about anybody. This guy could put up 400 points on his own. He could put up 500 fucking points. Who knows, man? He could outscore Chancellor's whole team with just Nikola Jokic. Or Nikola Jokic could have some problem going on in Serbia or whatever, and have to tend to his horses and disappear for a few. Who knows? But if Jokic takes the floor all 4 nights, I think Boilermakers is going to take the win here and push While My Team Is Soft down to his 3rd loss in a row. But we'll see. We'll monitor this throughout the week. We'll see how these things shake out. But we'll look at the standings right now in the bloodbath, as Eric just found out, because he made it to the top. So he's looking at words up at the top now. Eric is number 1 with an 8-1 record. He's on a 3-game win streak. I have no Franz. He and Dakota are the only 2 teams over 14,000 points. Dakota is number 1 in points scored right now. He is in 2nd place at 7-2. And the most points at 14,333. If you track back up to I Have No Franz, he actually has the least amount of points scored against him of anybody in the league. So, hate to say it, but this has been a cakewalk for Eric compared to the rest of us. And it's just because of how things are shaking out. People aren't putting up that many points against him compared to everybody else. So, we'll monitor that as Eric has some closer matchups, and as teams keep scoring or not against him, we'll see if he might be we might launch an investigation into cheating or some sort of corroboration. But we'll revisit that maybe in a couple weeks. Daniel Velasquez, Team Slim Shady, in 3rd place. He is he's coming off a win here, 6-3, 13,789 points, 3rd most of any team. And then we have a 4-team tie in 4th place. Myself, 1-809 with it. Boilermakers, Kobe Wanjanobili, and Connor for real. We are all 5-4. Pretty close in points there. Between myself and Boilermakers, we're just 5 points on the season apart. Interesting to see. If I've got some health, that's gonna change. But Boilermakers is coming off of a 2-game win streak. Connor for real coming off of a 2-game win streak. Jesse and I both lost to slide into that 4-way tie. I've got a 69% chance of making the playoffs. Boilermakers 70% chance of making the playoffs. Connor and Jesse are both at 55% in there. Let's move on to that 8th place. There's a 3-team tie. Coach Kawhi and Sabonis, Grind Time Super Gremlins, and Chanks Chuchos are all 3-6, tied for 8th place. CJ is on a 2-game lose streak, soon to be 3, but he has a 31% chance of making the playoffs. Enjoy that while it lasts, CJ. CJ was our 12th place man in the league last year, and things are trending that direction again. But man, my dog is snoring, man. I am so sorry. Nothing I can really do about this one. But, okay, we've got 2 teams tied for last place, Wet Boy Nation and Team Velasquez. Wet Boy Nation on a 6-game losing streak. He's going to have to get some new intel. He's maintaining a 7% chance at making the playoffs. He is not setting his lineup. He is making bum moves on the wire, and he is our big-time bozo of the week and making a case for bozo of the year. So we'll see what happens if he can get over the hump here and beat Jesse and start trying to climb up the rankings. But, we're looking at Team Velasquez kind of in a similar position. He needs health. He needs Wembanyama on the floor. That number 1 pick is not a good thing to have. I'm telling you, I hate that number 1 pick. Jorge had it. Jorge took Wembanyama. I probably would have taken Wembanyama as well with the first pick, but he's not on the floor enough. I think Karl Anthony Towns might be his best player. But that being said, Towns is on a tear lately. A lot of fun to watch Anthony Towns do this shit. 22 points, 22 rebounds the other night against Orlando. 32 points, 20 rebounds against Minnesota. And he's hitting a lot of threes. He's getting offensive rebounds. If he can get defensive stats up, that'll continue to make him an even better player for Team Velasquez and maybe help him string together some wins in here. But for now, it hasn't been enough. I think that really kind of just about does it, guys. I think we're going to see some changes in the league here. Nothing crazy, but in terms of availability of players, once we get on the other side of these weird Christmas weeks, and as football kind of goes into these playoff things, I think the NBA is going to kind of open up. We're going to start to have some weird, wild 2-week matchups coming up. We'll see All-Star break in a couple months, so hang in there. This is the weird part, the middle part of the season. These are the important wins. This is when some guys might have sort of lost focus, or the excitement of the year, the new year is kind of over. But this is also when there's a lot more analytics on these players on the waiver wire. There's a lot more ways to analyze guys that you might be looking for, and there's a lot more data for teams. So teams are able to kind of shift game plans. You're going to see new guys come up off the wire. We're going to see trades start to happen probably pretty soon. The trade window just opened up last week. The trade window is technically always open, but for the most part, teams don't make a lot of trades until like about December 15th because of contracts. There's a lot of contract clauses. Anybody that signed a new contract in the offseason usually can't get traded. They're not eligible to be traded until mid-December. So, of course, we saw the Pacers make a move for Thomas Bryant. And I think the Warriors making a move for Dennis Schroeder. I think we're going to continue to see some more moves in the league. I think there's a lot of teams that are shopping guys that want to get them out of there by the trade deadline. I think Brandon Ingram is one of those guys. Zion might be one of those guys. The Pelicans have said we'll send anybody out of here. So Houston looks like they're trying to make a move. Phoenix might make a move. You never know. I'd love to see Durant get out of there. I think I've said that for weeks. Phoenix is trash. I don't understand why Phoenix is so bad, but they should not be in the position that they're in the West. The Lakers are old, so that kind of makes sense that they're 10th, 8th place, but Phoenix should be a top 4 team. There's way too much firepower. Kevin Durant is one of those ones. Devin Booker is one of those ones. Brad Beal is always on the floor somehow, but literally on the floor, hitting the deck, not just out there playing. I mean, he's whatever. I'd love to see Durant get out of there and go to like Houston or something. I'd love to see the Pacers trade Miles Turner to fucking Houston. You know what I mean? I don't know why, but I don't know why Houston. I know Turner would like to be in Texas, and I'd like Turner to be just about anywhere else but on the Pacers. Wish we had James Wiseman. Pacers are hot right now. I think they won every game. I think they're on a win streak right now. I think they won every game this week, all on the road. They beat Phoenix. They beat Sacramento. Sacramento's a tough place to play. Tyrese Halliburton somehow kind of pulling his head out of his ass. I think he's done partying. Got some intel that this motherfucker's just closing down clubs, stay until the sun comes up, and then playing a 3:00 game and looking fucking pale and hungover. Come on, man. You a $250 million man, Tyrese. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox and quit wasting your time, gang. You have any questions about the league, you have any questions about the wire, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Don't bet on birds. It's that simple. DBOB. All right, guys. Merry Christmas. Welcome. And I'll see you next week.